So in this video, we're going to be talking about Dorit Kemsley, looking at some recent developments based on a pretty revealing interview she gave.
Right. Lots to unpack there. Things like PK's comments, that feeling of being blindsided at the reunion.
Exactly. And also her reflections on, sacrificing her design career way back, the feud with Kyle Richards, even some dating advice.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground, gives you a real sense of where her head's at right now.
Let's start with that feeling of being blindsided by PK's statement during their separation. She seemed genuinely shocked.
It really suggests she had a very different understanding of, well, how things were between them at that moment compared to what he put out there publicly.
Yeah, and she kept bringing up their past, calling themselves best friends, family.
Which highlights her disbelief, I think. Disbelief that it could get to a point where they'd, intentionally hurt each other.
It sounds like a fundamental shock, especially when you've built a whole life based on that closeness.
Definitely. And she connects PK's statement, what she calls the cheap shot, directly to her comment about him being a bad dad.
Ah, okay. So she sees it as sort of retaliation. But she did take some responsibility for her comment, didn't she?
She did. She mentioned apologizing in her confessional and also on the after show.
Right.
And she explained it, saying it came from a place of worry for the kids when they weren't speaking.
And there was that email, too.
Yeah, she mentioned a 7-page vicious email she'd received just before. So you get the sense things were really, really strained.
And her belief that PK's statement wasn't just for her, but
for the audience, for the public. That's what she said, which suggests she felt the narrative was being controlled, maybe shaped in a way she didn't agree with.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to her career. The design aspirations she put on hold.
Right. This was early in the marriage, she said. And it wasn't about wanting to be a stay-at-home mom initially.
No, it sounded like a specific choice after a difficult conversation. Their first fight, apparently.
An ultimatum, essentially. That's how she framed it. The relationship or the career.
Wow. And she chose PK.
And interestingly, she said, even now, she'd make the same choice again, which is quite a statement given everything.
It says a lot about maybe her priorities back then or her view of that commitment.
And she contrasted her situation with Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin.
Oh, yeah.
She saw them as having this independence within their marriage, something she felt she didn't have with PK. She explicitly said she wasn't independent in her marriage.
It turns out PK was the one who pushed her to join Real Housewives.
Yeah, that was surprising. She apparently didn't want to do it at first, but Dorit's take on it now is quite philosophical. She says she doesn't believe in regrets. She sees everything, good and bad, as a learning experience. A chance for growth.
That's a healthy perspective, especially given the nature of that show.
For sure. And she talked about learning to cope with it all.
Right, the compartmentalization. She said she struggled at first, but got better at it.
Which sounds like a survival skill on reality TV, honestly. Keeping the show drama separate from, well, actual life.
And she has a clear idea now of what makes a good housewife.
Having an opinion, being fearless in expressing it, being authentic.
And contributing. Even if you're not the most popular.
Though she did mention the home robbery really knocked her confidence.
Oh, absolutely. That would be incredibly traumatic. It shakes your whole sense of safety.
Definitely. But then she had that experience doing Peter Pan in London.
With hardly any prep time.
Exactly. And she said that was a huge confidence booster. Made her feel like she could handle anything afterwards. And she carried that feeling, that strength into the next season, season 14.
Right, wanting to apply it to her relationship, including the one with Kyle Richards.
Things were already strained there, obviously.
But there was a specific final straw.
Yes. Kyle publicly saying Dorit exaggerated a friendship. Ouch.
Yeah, that would sting. Especially when friendships are dissected like that on camera.
Understandably, that seemed to trigger a real shift for Dorit. A re-evaluation.
She started talking about prioritizing her peace, not letting people walk all over her.
A much more assertive stance, like you said. Setting boundaries.
It sounds like she decided, okay, if I'm on this reality show, I need to just be present, feel what I feel, and say what I need to say.
Pretty much. And she also shared some thoughts on dating.
Yes. Her top tip.
Pretty straightforward. Don't settle for less than someone who treats you right.
Solid advice.
And her red flags. Playing games and a temper.
Likely drawn from experience, you'd guess. Those are definite warning signs.
So looking ahead, what's she hoping for?
Well, the usual good stuff, really. Happiness, joy, fulfillment, peace.
Things we all want.
She acknowledges things are tough personally right now, especially with family being so important to her.
Right. Family is paramount for her. She makes that clear.
So she knows she's in the thick of it, as she put it.
Yeah, but still hopeful for brighter days ahead. which is, encouraging.
And just a note for everyone wondering, still no confirmed start date for filming the next season, season 15.
TBD on that front. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to Realty TV and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any reality TV news.
Yeah.
Off with Kristen Doute. She was on Watch What Happens Live recently and didn't hold back.
Oh, really? What did she say?
Well, for starters, she named PUMP as Lisa Vanderpump's worst bar.
Wow. Considering its history with the show, that's kind of surprising.
Right. It's like the VPR spot, or was. And then she also said Lisa Vanderpump owes her an apology.
An apology for what?
For not knowing who my baby daddy is on a show she produces. And the apologies didn't stop with Lisa. Tom Sandoval's next. She thinks he should apologize for the 5.5 years of her life she feels she lost.
That makes sense, especially given how intense and, well, public their breakup was. That stuff sticks with you.
For sure. Then she shifted focus to the Valley, specifically Janet Caperna. Kristen thinks Janet owes Nyabuko an apology for how she treated her.
Okay. Do we know the details on that? Sounds like new drama brewing there.
The sources didn't really elaborate, just that Kristen called for the apology. So yeah, something to watch on the Valley, I guess.
Right. Typical reality TV foreshadowing, maybe.
Probably. Now, about her and Sandoval, no. She said they're not in touch, but she'd say hello if they ran into each other.
Okay, so civil but distant. That sounds pretty standard after everything they went through. Sort of like closure, perhaps?
Maybe. A certain kind, anyway. And then there was Janet calling her Crazy Kristen. Kristen's response was, well, very Kristen. She basically suggested Janet was just a fan of Vanderpump Rules trying to make a moment.
Undermines the criticism by questioning the motive,
Totally. Next update we have about Zach Wickham claiming Janet turned Brittany Cartwright against him. Kristen's take was interesting.
What'd you think?
She kind of blamed it on the whole. She called it the Jax cruise situation.
Referring to Jax and Brittany's own marital drama and their son. So Kristen thinks Brittany was just too preoccupied.
Pretty much. She described Brittany as a people pleaser who was probably just swamped dealing with her own stuff with Jax. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. Especially if she's trying to manage that whole messy situation. Less energy for other people's conflicts.
And then Brittany's brief thing with Julian Sensley came up. Kristen defended her, saying it wasn't crossing a line. Because Julian isn't Jax's best friend, she made a point of saying, we're not talking about Tom Schwartz here.
Ooh, subtle shade. But a valid point in that world, right? The level of friendship matters in terms of perceived betrayal. Julian being outside that core inner circle changes the optics for Kristen.
Exactly. So things sound pretty complicated on the Valley. Kristen also mentioned being more surprised by Jesse and Michelle Lally splitting up than Jax and Brittany.
Really? Why is that?
Just the speed of it, apparently. Jesse and Michelle's breakup seemed faster, more sudden to her.
That tracks. Sometimes the slow burns are expected, but a quick split can be more shocking. Did you dig aside?
She said she's Team Jesse because they're better friends, but she quickly added that she doesn't necessarily agree with how he treats Michelle, and that viewers will see that. And she's met Jesse's new girlfriend, Lacey Nicole. No cease and desist letters involved, apparently.
Well, that's good, I guess.
We also heard Scheana Shay and Lala Kent are popping up on the Valley. Kristen hinted they'll be stirring some things up.
Not surprising at all. Bringing in familiar faces is a standard playbook move for spinoffs, boosts interest, creates friction.
Definitely. Oh, and Kristen also thinks Michelle Lally's new podcast is unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
Because apparently it focuses a lot on Jesse, and Kristen feels like that's already covered ground on the show itself. Next update we have about Jax Taylor. Kristen commented on how he's appearing on the Valley. She said it's the first time viewers are really seeing him like this and called it sad.
Sad how? Like vulnerable? Struggling.
The implication was struggling, I think. A different side than maybe we're used to.
That could be compelling TV, actually. Seeing a different dimension.
But on a more positive note, she said she was so happy that Jax committed to going to rehab.
Wow. Even with all their history.
Yeah, she acknowledged how hard it must have been for him to admit he had a problem, despite, everything between them. Shows some growth, maybe.
It does. A moment of empathy there. Good for her.
Next update we have about Kristen and Lisa Vanderpump again. Kristen apparently feels Lisa treats the women on her shows unfairly compared to the men.
Ooh, that's a big claim. Is she alone in thinking that?
Apparently not. The source mentioned Scheana and Katie Maloney feel similarly. That's significant, coming from multiple cast members.
It really is. It raises questions about the behind-the-scenes dynamics and, frankly, potential biases on those shows.
And Kristen dropped hints about tea concerning Lisa and Scheana's upcoming book. She suggested it's really damaged the relationship between Scheana and Lisa.
How damaged.
Kristen used a really harsh phrase, said Scheana is like the S on the bottom of Lisa's shoe now.
Ouch.
And it lines up with Scheana apparently saying Lisa only calls when she needs something. She mentioned a recent call about some friend on another LVP show. Next update we have about the Jax and Brittany drama playing out on the Valley. Kristen says it's obviously hard on both, but emphasizes that Brittany is her number one. She even said she looks up to Brittany as a parent, just showing strong support during a tough time. And one last Kristen point. Lisa supposedly encouraging Ali Luber to get back with James Kennedy after his arrest.
What was Kristen's reaction to that?
She said she was not surprised. Apparently she'd heard about it from Scheana before it even went public.
Ah, so it wasn't just a rumor floating around. That adds weight.
Right. And Kristen added she's proud of Ali for choosing herself and leaving James.
Good for Ali. And elling that Kristen wasn't surprised by Lisa's alleged involvement.
Okay, let's shift over to Summer House. Ciara Miller had some things to say, too.
Right.
Well, first off, Carl Radke admitted he had a crush on her.
Oh, how did Ciara react to that?
She seemed flattered but cautious, said she loves him but wasn't expecting it, mentioned they had some quality time and she got to know him differently. But she also said she's still recovering from past house romance and wants to stick to that recovery. So sounds like a friend zone situation.
Probably wise, given the history in that house. Speaking of messy, what about Jesse Solomon and Lexi Wood?
Yes. Ciara wanted to be very clear she wasn't involved. Her exact quote was, "I didn't suck anyone's toe." She then kind of described past summers as having a very incestuous house dynamic, mentioning people running around naked, nipple sucking, and getting in bed together.
Whoa. Okay, so setting the scene for how rumors could fly, basically. Saying this summer was different, though, because Lindsay was pregnant.
Right.
Did she say what she wants addressed at the reunion?
She was a bit coy, but she did say Jesse Solomon will be in the hot seat. And apparently she called this before the season even aired.
Ooh, interesting. So Jesse's actions during the summer clearly caused some major waves that need resolving. She predicted he'd be the one under fire.
Looks like it. Now, what about the newbie, Imrul Hassan? Does Ciara think he should come back?
What's the verdict?
Her first reaction was kind of like, sure, why not? But then she elaborated a bit.
Oh.
She talked about the weird dynamic for new guys trying to connect with the girls in the house. And she admitted she told him to chill out.
She told him to chill. Why?
Apparently he was complaining about not forming relationships, and she felt he maybe needed to reel it in and focus on spending actual quality time, not just hooking up.
Okay. So maybe his approach was a bit off-putting, but she still thinks he's great overall.
Yeah, that was her final word on him. Great guy, maybe just needed some pointers on navigating the house.
Got it. Any word on Paige DeSorbo post-breakup?
Ciara just said she's thriving, which she's happy to see.
That's good news for Paige.
Next update we have about Imrul Hassan, specifically his absence from that reunion cast photo with Andy Cohen.
Yeah, people noticed that. What was his explanation?
A little vague, honestly. He just said he left early a few hours before they wrapped. When asked why, he was like, I don't know. I'm going to chalk it up to that and move on. It's all good.
Chalk it up to that. That doesn't really explain much, does it?
Yeah.
Could be anything from a scheduling conflict to something else.
Exactly. But then he revealed something pretty interesting about why he did the show in the first place.
What was that?
He said his main goal was getting publicity and a platform for my English school back in Bangladesh.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's unexpected. A philanthropic motive for going on Summer House.
Right. And apparently he's doing pretty well with his GoFundMe for the school. Raised almost $8,000 of a $10,000 goal.
That's fantastic. Good for him. It is kind of surprising, though, that the show didn't feature that side of him at all.
Yeah, a lot of fans pointed that out. You'd think that would be a compelling storyline, but I guess it didn't fit the usual Summer House narrative.
Yeah, the focus tends to stay squarely on the house dynamics and relationship drama, doesn't it? Sometimes other aspects get left on the cutting room floor.
Seems like it. Okay, let's switch to Beverly Hills. Kung Minkoff had some thoughts on Garcelle Beauvais and Sutton Stracke's friendship.
Oh, what was her take?
Crystal suggested it wasn't entirely natural, maybe more of an alliance formed because of the show. And Crystal seemed to stick to that idea, even though Garcelle and Sutton obviously hang out outside of filming.
So in Crystal's view, the show dynamic is always kind of there, underneath the surface, shaping the friendship.
That seems to be her argument. She believes you kind of need an ally, someone you trust, just to navigate being on the show.
It's a cynical take, maybe, but probably has some truth to it for some people in that environment.
And Crystal felt the friendship looked broken by the end of last season.
Why broken?
Because in her view, Garcelle felt really betrayed by Sutton. Specifically, Sutton not defending Garcelle enough regarding the whole Kyle Richards and Morgan Wade situation.
Ah, yes. That was a major point of contention. The expectation of backup is huge in those situations. Yeah. If you feel your ally didn't step up, yeah, that can break things.
Totally. And of course, this all comes before Garcelle announced she was leaving the show back in March.
Right. Okay, where to next? New Jersey.
Yep, last stop. RHONJ and Margaret Josephs. She's reacting to the news about Teresa Giudice and Luis Ruelas' reported $3 million tax debt.
Oh, boy.
She literally said she feels vindicated. Her exact words included, "The Marge has never been wrong yet."
Huh. Okay, that's peak Marge, taking a victory lap, basically.
Totally. But then she also called the tax situation very sad and said she never wishes ill on anyone, including Teresa, which is why she always spoke up.
A little bit of having her cake and eating it, too. Expressing sympathy while also claiming vindication.
It feels a bit like that, yeah. A complex reaction, let's say. She also pushed back against being called mean.
How does she describe herself instead?
As protective. Someone who wants to tell the truth and can sniff out something that's not great, even if people find her delivery brutally honest.
That sounds familiar. That's often her defense, right? Being direct for people's own good, even if it stings.
Exactly. She also hinted about next season's cast, wanting new people, but also some current ones to stay, while suggesting others should move on.
Vague booking about the cast. Always happens around contract time. Any hints about who should move on?
Not specifically, but she did say she wants more light drama, fun, positivity, light shade in the future.
Okay, so maybe suggesting she wants less of the really heavy, dark stuff that's dominated recently. A lighter tone for the show.
Seems like that's the hope. And on a personal note, she gave a positive update about her husband, Joe Benigno.
Oh, good. How's he doing after his cancer diagnosis?
She said he's healthy now and gets checked regularly, so really good news there.
That's wonderful to hear. Always good to get those positive personal updates amidst all the chaos.
Definitely. Okay, before we go, don't forget to subscribe to Realty TV and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any reality TV news.
Yeah, stay informed with us.
Thank you for watching this video. See you tomorrow.